Welcome in, my friends, the Peanuts and Cracker Jacks, to leading off right here on Fantasy Pros. I am not Joe Pisapia. Over there is not Chris Welsh. That's actually me. That's Ryan Wormley. And Ryan, we've got a little bit of an overlay problem today. I have the Joe Pisapia line, and you've got the Chris Welsh line. So, Ryan, I suggest you have bad takes on Dylan Cease. You learn up on some prospects, even more than you already know. You can't just talk Orioles. And, I don't know, maybe get a tiara or two. What should I do as Joe Pisapia?
Well, you should probably shave your head. I was going to say it's a good thing that I'm not in the Joe Pisapia seat because I have way too much hair as it is, even for my normal standards, let alone Joey P's normal standards. And I think we were already going to maybe lament about the Mets a little with the Justin Verlander news, but you probably want to do that a little bit more than you were going to already.
Yeah. Also, Corbin Carroll. Just say things about Corbin Carroll and you'll be okay. But you know what? This is actually great because I don't have to hear anything about Dylan Cease today because you're me. So you're going to get all of it. So, Ryan, what is the Twitter handle again?
It is at Ryan Wormley. That's Wormley like the name, like the word, not the name. WARMLY.
All right, so all your Diamondback and Welsh hate, send it over there for the overlay issue. Welcome in, everybody, to Leading Off, brought to you by PrizePicks. No Joe Pisapia today because he's actually in my land. He is actually within the vicinity of me, I believe, right now. He is out here wandering the world, and I will see him very shortly. But me and Ryan Wormley, we've got it locked down for you today after what was an awesome opening day, full of all of the stuff and things. And you mentioned this before we got on. Like, we're not going to always talk about like rule changes and stuff, but we saw some big changes overall. Number one being the pitch clock. Ryan, average game time, 2 hours, 42 minutes. 10 out of the 15 games were under 3 hours. That was down about a half an hour across the board. Pitch clock had 3 or 4 incidents. I think Marcus Stroman was like the number one. There wasn't anything absolutely insane, but game times down. I think overall fun up.
Yeah, I think it was averaged about 1 violation per game. I think it was 14 violations on the day, if I remember correctly. So it's not too intrusive. My biggest issue with the pitch clock, like just the idea of it and throughout spring training, was I hated seeing like games end on it, right? And those were the extreme examples, of course. You don't expect that to happen, certainly every game or anywhere close to it. Those are the ones where I take issue. When it just speeds up the game like this, it's actually pretty nice. I am somebody who's a bit of a purist when it comes to baseball and the history and the rules, but this seems to be pretty effective, and it didn't seem to interfere with games as much as I had thought it might when I first heard about the rule change. So you're right. It was an awesome opening day. Every opening day is fun for its own reasons. This was a really fun day, and I think the pitch clock, to a degree, contributed to that.
Yeah, I think overall, like the changes in the rules across the board only had positives. The other one, stolen bases. Stolen bases were up. Our mutual friend, Alec Fast, he had this tweet highlighting it, that on the 2022 opening day, 5 stolen bases, 4 were caught with a 56% success rate. Well, on opening day here, we had 21 stolen bases, only 2 caught, a 91% success rate. Your Orioles had 5 of those stolen bases. They accounted for roughly almost a quarter of all the stolen bases. But across the board, dudes were running, and it's exactly what we expected. Early on in spring training, the numbers were starting to increase. By the end, we saw a full double stolen base attempts and stolen bases done from this year to the prior year. And that showed over in the very first game. We really might be on for multiple 50-plus stolen base guys. We got to see how aggressive it is full term. But I was very excited about seeing all those stolen bases. I think it's great for the game overall and for fantasy. Maybe a little bit easier for the rest of us.
Yeah, it's super fun. And you mentioned the Orioles getting 5. It's hard to tell, was that they were taking advantage of Reese McGuire in Boston, or it was also Jorge Mateo and Cedric Mullins who led the American League as a duo last year. So this is a team that was already willing to run with its really fast guys. I'm not surprised they ran even more this year. But yeah, they matched last year's opening day total. There were fewer games last year, of course, on opening day, but still, that's kind of crazy to think about. And the success rate is what really stands out to me, not just the volume, because I think we all expected just given all the rules changes to see more attempts, but to see them actually being effective right off the bat, I think you will see more teams start to run more and more. We saw it early. I think we're going to see it often throughout the year. And it makes it interesting because there have been so many years in the past recently where it's so difficult to find steals that they become at a premium and you're playing in roto leagues. Now, if they're become more readily available, it kind of changes how you have to approach that stat really going forward until these rules changes ever happen again.
Yeah, and I think it's going to keep going. Like, obviously, the different game sizes in opening day last year, this year, but I think that number still was up over like the full weekend of opening day weekend on last year. I still don't even think we scratched the surface. We had a couple multi-stolen base attempts. I think there's a couple guys. Obviously, I'm a Corbin Carroll homer, but Corbin Carroll going up against a lefty yesterday, I'm much more intrigued about it today, where he probably hits higher in a lineup. That's a guy that's going to be running. I think when we go and we look at the stolen bases over opening day weekend compared over, we're going to really have our minds blown a little bit.
Well, don't forget, I'm actually the Corbin Carroll homer today because
I'm sorry, Mr. Welsh. I'm sorry, Mr. Welsh. Yeah, so I have to make some joke about the Mets, and I have to keep it into my wheelhouse for sure. The AL East, big offense. Orioles 10 runs. Red Sox had 9. Blue Jays 10. Also, by the way, Springer was phenomenal in that. And we had the Yankees with the Aaron Judge homer. Let's also we don't have it on this list, but let's not forget the Rays with Wander Franco hitting that big late homer. A lot of offense out of the AL East. Ton of excitement in there, but also maybe some questions on pitching in general. Outside of Garrett Cole was obviously great with the big strikeouts, but a lot of offense in your division.
Yeah, really fun to watch. Every AL East team won except for, 2 of them were facing each other, so one of them had to lose there. You're right. I when putting together the notes, I didn't write down the Rays because they only scored 4 runs, but you're right. Wander Franco, obviously a highlight there as well. And I think this is going to be a sign of things to come in the division throughout this entire year. As an Orioles fan going into the year, thinking about their chances of making a surprise run at the division title. The Yankees are top heavy. They obviously have stars. I don't love their depth. The Red Sox, I don't think are going to be very good. Sorry, Mike Mayer. The Rays are always obviously a smart team. The Blue Jays are the ones that really scared me. Like, if there's a team, I think, in this division that can actually run away with it, I think it's Toronto. It's not just George Springer. Obviously, Bo Bichette, Vladdy had a good day. Those 3 guys combined to go 11 of 16 in game 1, 6 runs, 4 RBI between that trio. I think that offense is really scary. I know Manoah didn't pitch well, but obviously Gossman, in that rotation as well. So I think that's a really scary team. But the entire division, I think we're going to see a lot of fireworks this year.
But, this is a good point in the chat. Jay Full of Metal K brought up that, was this bad pitching or was this dominant offense? Wonky had the classic wonky little snark in the chat of hey, who knew that Kluber and Gibson, let me put it up here, who didn't think that Kluber and Gibson was not going to be a huge pitcher's duel? It's a decent point. It's obviously a big offense, but George Springer 5 for 5. Do you think this had, I guess you do because you said it like that. Do you think this has to do with more of the power and not maybe the lack of pitching overall in the division?
I'm sure to a degree it's both. I don't love the pitching in the division, so that's not some crazy angle that I didn't think about. But it's also not like these teams scored 6, 7, 8 runs. This 9 runs, 10 runs, 10 runs. I think that the power in the division is just really good. I think it's the most powerful division in the sport. It's just something that I expect to see a lot. And also, we saw across the board a lot of pitchers struggle, not just in this division yesterday. I don't know. It's sort of like a cliche to say that pitching usually starts off ahead of the hitters in April. That wasn't the case yesterday, but it wasn't just in the division. Maybe it's something to do with the pitch clock. I don't know. I'm sure we'll see that play out more as the season goes on. But my gut tells me that on the graph of this, more of that percentage is the hitters and less the pitchers. Though, again, I don't think the pitchers are that great.
Yeah, I actually kind of agree with that too. I think there's a lot. You saw pitch comm issues. I saw I think it was Zach Gallen kept dropping his pitch comm, and there was all these weird pitch comm things that were going on. And there's adjustments across the board to not being able to throw over that I think is going to take a little bit of time, which hitters are going to be able to take advantage of. A couple more in the news. We'll get to the injuries as we blow through. O'Neill Cruz, Hunter Green, huge matchup. Cruz 425 homer, 101 came off the fastball. If you picked him, remember yesterday, what a dummy me with the home run call. I flipped a coin, Ryan. I said, my gut or my Manny Machado was my head, but then all of a sudden it got into me. I wanted to pick O'Neill Cruz. I flipped the coin and I got it wrong. If you went O'Neill Cruz, it worked out. Hunter Green, though, threw 44 pitches in triple digits. He struck out 8. It was a really good matchup of couple young guys, but O'Neill Cruz took that one. It makes me feel all types of fantasy feelings, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, this is the future of the NL Central, right? Is these young stars, and obviously it feels kind of weird to put in the headlines, Pirates, Reds. There's aren't teams that we're interested in this year in terms of the division, but just for the future of what it looks like, a couple of really fun young stars. And we were talking actually yesterday after this had already happened, how the exit velocity from Cruz plus the pitch velocity from Green on that pitch that he hit out is got to be one of the highest combined velocity readings we've ever seen in a matchup, because they both bring the heat in their own ways, and it's really fun to watch, and they're two special talents.
I saw an overlay two thing that said there was one pitch. It obviously didn't register that way, but it was like 105. It came in 105 for Hunter Green, but it didn't register on StatCast.
Yeah.
But I saw that and I was just like, what are we doing here? What are we doing
Absurd.
with all this? Yeah, it is crazy. On the last bit of news, Ohtani, fastest pitch in the game and hardest hit ball in the game, which is just a crazy, crazy number. You had an interesting stat: 26 opening day starts since 1901 with 10 strikeouts, no runs allowed, but the first time the pitcher lost the game.
Yeah, as I like put it in the notes, he got tungsten armo doiled again. It's just that tweet from several years ago is just the gift that keeps on giving, and it's so true. Every time you tune into an Angels game, Ohtani does something historic, and then they lose the game. That was a tweet from Sarah Lang, so credit to her for pointing that out. But yeah, he remains incredible, fun to watch, best player in baseball, and yet the Angels still can't do anything with it.
No, they can't. Hopefully my internet looks like it's all wonky, so hopefully you guys can hear me okay. All the craziness of opening day destroyed everything apparently at my house. On the injury front, Justin Verlander placed on the IL, could miss a month. Max Fried came out with a strained hamstring, likely headed to the IL. Do not like that one whatsoever. Wilson Contreras left with a left knee contusion. Daniel Bard came out on the 15-day IL due to anxiety. Luis Urias also had a little hamstring strain, and Adalberto Mondesi officially placed on the 60-day IL. Any of those stand out to you? It kind of Fried was the one that jumped out to me as like the biggest concern, but I guess it wasn't an arm issue.
Well, Fried is definitely the biggest concern because I think I roster him in every one of my leagues this year. I love Fried. I have him in all my dynasty leagues, everything. So that one hurts a lot. And then the Verlander just was kind of a surprising thing to see, as opening day was getting going. Could miss a month. Like, he's obviously been at the top of the pitcher rankings for years and years and years, and now he's getting older. He's not there anymore. And this is why you kind of get nervous about older pitchers, is the injury problem. So those are the two that stand out to me. I guess also Contreras, just because catcher is so shallow, and you never want to see a catcher dealing with knee issues given what they have to do when they're playing catcher.
Yeah, especially getting a little bit older too. Like, the offense really, I mean, you could say that offense really need him, but like, look at all the pieces that were coming out. Brennan Donovan was awesome yesterday. Jordan Walker getting his first hit, so they can afford it, but they don't want it. Hey friends, here to remind you that you guys can get a 1-year free premium upgrade to Fantasy Pros by just commenting, subscribing, and you can win. You can get advice. They've got the mock drafts. You can manage all your multiple teams, and you guys can check out the My Playbook. Download it and win. It's got lineup assistance, waiver assistance, trade analyzers, league analyzers. Manage your fantasy baseball lineups and dominate your league. You can get My Playbook by downloading it today. And like I said, right here, you got an opportunity to win a 1-year free premium upgrade at Fantasy Pros just by subscribing and commenting. Why would you not want to do so? Right, Mr. Chris Welsh? By the way, my hair was this big issue yesterday in the chat. I appreciate that we've got both like the big poof that's going on. So thank you for
arguably too much poof, but
yeah, well, I don't know. I was saying maybe, like those memes where it's like upgrade and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, we'll do that, I think, through the season. Maybe I'll just never cut it, and we'll see if we can get it. Like, I can sit down and we can get it off the screen for the entire year is what I'm looking for. Some stats, 3 up and 3 down. I'm going to blow through these 3 stats. I know exactly who you're going to pinpoint. CJ Cron was awesome. 4 for 5, 2 homers, 5 RBIs. Absolutely dominated the Padres. And one of the funniest things that Bogman and I were kind of reliving is a lot of people have focused so much on how, CJ Cron, he's really great at home, but you can't play him on the road. Well, he completely destroys the narrative by doing it on the road. And he dominated, which was not just on the road, in San Diego on a cold, wet night. There was rain. They were like mopping up the fields, putting kitty litter or whatever the hell they were putting on over there, dirt. And he was still able to dominate. your boy Adley Rutschman, 5 for 5, a homer and 4 RBIs. Plus, we saw Garrett Cole, Dylan Cease, and Shohei Ohtani all win at least 6 while striking out 10 and allowing 1 or fewer runs. Those are some big stat ups, but I know Adley's on your mind because he looked incredible.
Yeah, I mean, some people are asking what's more impressive, Adley going 5 for 5 or me going 5 for 5 in slow pitch softball last night. I'll leave that up to the listeners to decide. I had a couple options, of what I wanted to wear on the show. I've got my Orioles Hawaiian shirt that I love. I've got a FantasyPros baseball jersey, which is great, but I had to rock the Adley Rutschman jersey, of course. Best catcher in
can't
baseball.
Even see. Let's see.
It is Rutschman. I don't know if I can get it up in the in the
lift
camera
it up,
shot. I
Ryan.
can turn around, yeah. But this is an Adley jersey. It's my favorite jersey I own, of course. At least until they fail to sign him, which will be devastating. Half a dozen.
You're bringing up a really interesting thing. We can't get off on a tangent. I tangent a lot more. Joe's not here to wrangle me in, but like I had this exact conversation with Scott Bogman where opening day I was like, oh my god, I need a Corbin Carroll jersey. I've got an autograph one, but I want one to wear, and he was like. I'm going to turn 40 this month, coming up here in April. And it's like, I might be out of the range where I can wear a jersey. What do you think the appropriate age to jersey ratio is, Ryan, as someone who is in their 30s wearing a jersey of another person?
I'm just barely in my 30s. I am only 30, so I'm not that far into it. I am probably out on a limb here. I think you can wear a jersey at any age. I think you could bring a glove to a game at any age. We like sports because they're a game, they're fun, they're an escape. They appeal to the kid in us. Like, I will never judge anybody for wearing a jersey. I do judge sometimes some of the custom jerseys you see. Although there was a funny one. Somebody had Arson Judge on a Giants jersey that I saw walking around in reference to the John Heyman tweet, of course. But in general, if you love a player, I think it's totally fine. I do think football jerseys are maybe a little better to wear because it's just sort of like once a week you gather for the big game, like all on Sunday. Whereas opposed to baseball, it's every day. You're not going to wear a jersey every day or anything. But I think if you're going to a stadium, I don't care what age you are, wear the jersey. I just get nervous about, like I said, getting a young guy like Carroll. I guess he's actually got the extension, but a guy like Adley, if they don't eventually extend him, then the jersey will look bad down the line. That's happening to me with my Lamar Jackson jersey right now. But in general, I'm very pro jersey.
Okay, good. This is a good chat. This is a good chat that is to support. Thank you guys for all supporting that we can wear jerseys. Now I just need a Corbin Carroll one. So yes, please, and thank you.
Also quickly before we move on, because I just have to actually talk about Adley. Incredible. It's not like rest of season rankings jump him to number 1 at catcher or anything, but if he becomes the number 1 catcher in fantasy, this is what it's going to look like. Some power, obviously, he had a 400-foot home run, and then a lot of singles, taking the pitch, going the opposite way with it.
Field was great.
I think the lineup, I thought this going into the game, obviously it played out this way, is going to be much improved around him. That's more opportunities for runs and RBI. I just think he's going to have an incredible season, and outside of the steals, I think he'll be the best catcher in basically the other 4 categories.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I said on ITL that I think he's at least the number 2 catcher locked down by All-Star break, and he might be number 1. The only thing that keeps it away is Remuto hitting 3 and also stealing bases, but what he did yesterday was absolutely phenomenal. Also, Chris Evans in the chat was poo-pooing CJ Cron, which is fine because I'm not sitting here. I'm trying to find the comment. Yeah, right here. Wimpy shots, barely clear the wall. Don't get too excited. But that's not the point. The point is he was successful on the road. We're not saying CJ Cron is the biggest, baddest first baseman. Go and trade everything for him. But no, his weakness is on the road. He dominated in a cold, wet environment that he did on the road. That this is not what he does. So that's what's exciting about CJ Cron.
Yeah. Also, a wimpy home run is still a ball you hit over the fence against a major league pitcher. That's awesome.
Exactly. And then on the injuries, we're going to, or the down 3 stats, we're going to plow through these. Jacob deGrom, Nola, Gallen, Manoah, Michaelis, all of that 5 earned runs. A lot of 3 2/3 also on opening day. Corey Kluber also allowed, but as you pointed out, who cares? Max Muncy with the worst performance, I think, of the day, 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts, which was insane. We also saw Eloy Schwarber, Austin Hayes, Sean Murphy all go 0 for 5 in that bad boy. The Muncie one really, really stood out to me. Friends, it is time to go and take a look at our sponsor, PrizePicks. You guys can get locked in with PrizePicks right now. Use the promo code leading off, and you guys can get hooked up. FantasyPros leading off Each day they are presenting with us, and they are the easiest and fastest way to play daily fantasy baseball and any of the sports. You pick over-unders on player props. You can win up to 25 times your money. Use that promo code leading off when you sign up, and they will match your first deposit up to $100. And no big deal. The Welsh just dropped you a winner in the very first show presented by PrizePicks yesterday. If you paid attention and you listened, I gave you a 5-1 on your money. I had Pablo Lopez 4 strikeouts. He smashed. Ohtani strikeout, smashed. Machado 1.5 hit run RBI. Well, he got an RBI in his first at bat, and then he got a hit. So we got it. We smashed it. Hopefully you guys bet it. Did anyone bet mine, by the way? And don't lie. You let me know in the chat. If someone did, I'm going to put your comment up. I was very excited about that. I have feelings on Pablo Lopez, which we're not going to get to, but I was able to crush it. Ryan, why don't you give us your prize picks, and then I'll give everybody my prize pick play of the day.
Yeah, well, I was going to say we don't have time to get into it, but Pablo Lopez looked great.
He's my biggest spot. Wait for my trade video. If it's coming out next week, he will be on that because there were some crazy changes.
So my picks here, I've got Robbie Ray over 5.5 strikeouts against Cleveland. The Guardians struck out 9 times in yesterday's game. Mookie Betts over 7 fantasy points. He was really bad yesterday, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. If a star has a bad first game, I'm very happy to go back to them in the second game. And then Manny Machado over 1.5 hits, runs, RBI, going up against Kyle Freeland of the Rockies. $20 wins you 100 on that. If you go the full power play, which I am, I don't play this game to hedge my bets and go with the flex. Only need to hit 2 out of 3. I go all in every time, and I expect to hit it.
Yeah, I think if I were to do because you can go up to 5. I haven't unloaded a 5 here yet. I want to see just a tiny bit. I definitely want to check some of all that out. But if you were to go like a 5-player one, I might play a little bit of insurance here, but we'll see. Today on mine, I am going to be rocking another 3, just like Ryan, for a 5 times. I've got Julio, the total base more. I'm going to go on the more side. I'm going back to the well with Manny Machado a lot today. 7.5 fantasy points more. I'm going with Mookie Betts, fantasy score 7 or more. So Julio, total base, Machado fantasy score, and Mookie Betts.
I didn't realize before putting mine together that we both have both Machado and Mookie on there. I also like that we're both going more with all 3 of ours because, you know, we're here to have fun. Like, I know, like, you know, historically betting unders on prop bets and things like that are usually more lucrative, but like, it's fun to root for stuff to happen.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I'm not a big under better guy. Speaking of our bets for the day, I got a couple bets for you if you guys want to place them. They're going to be kind of in line with what we just talked about. Jordan Alvarez, total base 1.5. I'm going with the over. It's plus 115. Saw that, I believe, over on DK. Robbie Ray, that you just mentioned, I love this one today. 5.5 strikeouts. It's plus 105 on DK. I'm all about that one. And Mookie Betts, total base 1.5. These are just straight bets. These are not the prize pick ones. It's plus 130 today. And why I like it, he's a career 300 hitter against Merle Kelly, and 4 of his 7 hits against Kelly, extra base hits. So again, for me, there's also a part of like, I don't think we're going to have multiple days of struggling or anything like that. So I'm going back to the well with Machado a little bit more, and Mookie Betts getting back in it. I'm definitely with. Ryan, what are some of your bets for the day?
Yeah, check the Betting Pros prop bet cheat sheet if you want to see some of these. These are some of the recommended ones on there. Jose Ramirez over 1.5 total bases against Seattle. That is going up against Ray, who I like to get a lot of strikeouts, but I still think that the Guardians will get some hits in there as well. Juan Soto over 0.5 runs against Colorado. Not a great day for him yesterday. Again, Stars bouncing back in game 2. I think the Padres are going to bounce back in a big way today. And then Nick Martinez, I don't think they bounce back on the mound because I have him over 1.5 earned runs against the Rockies. That's minus 120. So those are my 3.
By the way, on the bets yesterday, I didn't hit 2, but I hit Wander Franco total base plus 130 yesterday, and I gave you guys a parlay, my big parlay of the day: Tampa Bay win and Atlanta total team total runs 4.5. If you parlay that together like I did, those did pay. So, cha-ching, love that. Over on the DFS. Mr. Ryan Wormley, you gave us some good plays here. I've got a couple things. Actually, I'll just throw it out mine because mine is a little bit smaller. David Peterson is kind of a pivot play for me. I think Christian Javier looks like he's going to be the highest played guy. I kind of like the pivot 6,600 on DK. A value hitter for the day, James Outman going up against the Diamondbacks again. But I do like stacks of Arizona and San Diego today. I think the lefties that they're going to get in and move higher in the lineup on the Diamondbacks against Dustin May is going to look a little bit better. And I think San Diego's going to come back. But what do you you have.
Yeah, I like those picks. And I will just readily admit I am not a very avid DFS player. So
Nor
for
am I.
me, it's more I kind of look through and say, these are some things that stand out to me as values and guys I like to have good days today, unless like here's a strategy of building your lineup. But some of the values that I like, Robbie Ray is my favorite pitcher going today. It's obviously, I hate that they do this where it's a much smaller slate on day 2 of the season. I know that it's like they want to leave it open for like in case it gets rained out on opening day, but also like you could just still do the ceremonies in what was originally scheduled for the second game. If the first one does get rained out, it just bothers me every year. You have all this fun excitement of opening day, and then it's like such a letdown on day 2. So Ray is my favorite pitcher going today on the smaller slate. I like Andrew Vaughn a lot at 2,800, Miguel Rojas 2,200, Max Muncy. I know he had 5 strikeouts yesterday. This is a total just like I believe it. He is a better player than that. So at only 3,200, I'm going to go back to him. And again, not a ton of great options at third. And then I would pay up for the outfielders. Mookie 3,900. Kyle Tucker, 4,000, Juan Soto, 4,000, any of those outfielders. If I'm going to spend my money somewhere, I'm going to go cheaper on infield because I see a lot of values there, and outfield, just give me the stars.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with that. I'm going to be a little about Corbin Carroll today because I think this is a big opportunity, but I love Mookie. Obviously, it's something I'm going to try. I don't try to go crazy with it, and maybe Joe adjusts it, but like when we're talking like prize pick, bets, DFS, those are going to kind of be in line. Like if I've got a guy on prize picks, I'm probably also going to look at what, if I have his 1.5 total bases on prize picks, I'm probably going to look at what is that? Is it plus money over on any other book? And I'm going to like that as well. And that would in turn be something I would end up taking a look at over on, any of the DK sites or FanDuel or wherever you guys are playing your daily fantasy sports. Last up here, my friends, is the home run call. It is killing me, the coin flip that could have got me 1-0, Ryan. I flipped it. My gut started to say O'Neal Cruz. I stuck with Manny Machado. Machado didn't actually particularly look great, which had me a little bit worried, but I am a glutton for punishment, Mr. Chris Welsh / Ryan Wormley. And I'm going to go back to the well. I'm going to take Manny Machado tonight. He's got a good track record versus Kyle Freeland. He's a lefty. I think we can get that going a little bit more, and this will probably be my last shot at just attacking Manny Machado. I really thought he would. So I'm going to try to get on the board with Manny Machado. What say you, my friend? Because Joe and I both did not get on the board, nor did Mike Mayer in day 1.
Well, first of all, instead of back to the well, for you, it's back to the Welsh. For my pick, I am really annoyed the Orioles aren't playing. I actually told my FantasyPros coworker, Andrew Erickson, he messaged me yesterday. He said he had a free bet and wondered which Oriole that I would recommend he take to hit a home run. And I immediately said Adley Rutschman, and it paid off. That would have been my pick yesterday. I know I can't take credit for it, but obviously I happily would have done that with no Orioles to pick. And again, a smaller slate, just not a ton of guys that I'm like super excited about. Like this is something I feel good about. I just picked a great power hitter, Pete Alonso. Obviously, he's a 40 homer type of hitter. So I'm going with him as my call here and hoping it works out.
All right. Someone said this and I'm going to do it. Maybe this is going to be my new thing. So I'll never be on the board. If I did have a guy that I was thinking about, what is this, Justin? I have no coin flipping skills. As a matter of fact, my friend, I think I have phenomenal coin flipping skills as I was able to keep it on my hand and not drop it. I just had to reach for this. There is another guy that's in my brain here. And here's the problem. I feel like the secondary guy is the guy. So let's do this. My pick is Manny Machado. The guy that's in my brain is Mookie Betts for the day. Okay. Mookie Betts, good track record. Like I said, has 3 homers, I believe it's 3 homers against Merrill Kelly. Heads, Manny Machado. Tails, Mookie Betts. Sound good?
I love it.
Here we go. We're going Manny again. So book Mookie Betts to hit the homer.
Well, let me ask you this, Welsh. While the coin was in the air for that half second, what did you want it to land on?
I wanted to land on Mookie Betts. I wanted it to land on Mookie Betts. So, but I can't.
You gotta trust the coin, though.
Yeah, if you guys, I saw someone mentioning how to do the how to go in and do the bets or do the home run calls. If you want to get in on the FantasyPros Discord, you can get in. There's a home run call room. It's super easy. You just type it in, bam, the bot tracks it. You are locked in. I believe next week we're probably going to be getting the home run board. Whoever had O'Neal Cruz yesterday, which I think a bunch of you did, you are on. I know probably a couple of you are in the chat that are on, but we will be celebrating it all next week as the board comes back. Hopefully also new overlays because Mr. Ryan Wormley is going to be with me on Monday and Tuesday, as Joe is just traveling back out here in Arizona. I should see him on Sunday.
How nice it must be to be able to take a vacation on day 2 of the season of the sport that you cover.
Well planned there, Joe. How about, hey, welcome everybody. It's opening day. And he's gone. He's gone. He's out of here. But Ryan, or Chris Welsh, you did a great job today. I'm Joe Pisapia / Chris Welsh. You can find me on Twitter at @IsItTheWelsh. Ryan, what was the Twitter again?
At Ryan Warmly, and that's Warmly like how you dress when it's cold outside, not like my last name.
It was Welsh in the Worm. We did it. Hopefully you guys had a fantastic opening day. Hopefully today is as good. You guys know where to find us over on the Discord. Everything's going to really be kicking off too with more chats. We've also got the room where you guys can ask questions. There's private. You can message me, Ryan. You can message anybody for any fantasy questions. We got you there. Make sure to use the promo code leading off if you go over to PrizePicks, join in, make some money, have fun with us. The story of the game goes on. For Ryan Wormley, I am the Welsh / Joe Pisapia, and we will talk to you guys for a full slate of episodes of Leading Off next week. Goodbye, my friends.